First of all, I just wanted to talk about one Czech myth about the Knights of Blaník because, well, they have been my calm yourself thought ever since I was a kid, but when I looked into the themes of this myth, I discovered that there's maybe too many dudes sleeping in the world's mountains. And maybe we should do something about it. Hello, my name is Zeri, and today we'll be looking into king asleep in a mountain trope. And I hope everybody realizes that I just make videos about what I find interesting by now. There's no rules. This is my channel. So, for a start, I think I won't be able to go through every single myth because, as I said in the beginning, there is a surprising amount of guys. So, let's review the one I wanted to talk about, and then we can have a look at the rest, shall we? Back during the time of the Kingdom of Bohemia, we had a king named Wenceslas, and he was kind of a big deal. So big that he became a saint after his death, killed by his brother to be exact, and also he became the patron of the Czechs, which is not that big actually. We have a lot of patrons and dads, it's really confusing, but let's just say that he's important. Also, I know about the theories of Wenceslas never existing, but I decided not to talk about them in this video as we are kind of looking into more of the mythological side of the person and not the historical one, so yeah, don't expect it. But if you visit Prague, you can actually see his statue on the Wenceslas Square right in front of the National Museum, which is a very cool place. And so this patron is said to be sleeping inside a Blaník mountain. There's actually two Blaníks, but we are talking about the bigger one. It is said that inside the mountain there is a hall where all the army of St Wenceslas sleeps. It's big and grand, and it happened a couple of times that a human actually stumbled in before it was locked a long time ago. But the stories of these humans are really similar. They found an entrance in, talked to a knight, and did something, whether it is cleaning up the hall or taking care of the horses. And once they stumble out, they find out a whole year has passed in a matter of a single evening. And then they die shortly after they pass on the story. But never mind that. As I said, the entrance into the mountain has been locked for a long time, and it is said that when the Czech nation is in its hour of most need, St Wenceslas will ride out on a white horse together with his army and save the people of our country. And of course it's just a myth. I mean, we literally have the bones of the guy. I mean, if it's him. But when I was a kid, and even now, it makes me feel both scared and safe that even through all the hardships we have been through, and it's been many in the past 2 years, it was never so bad that we needed the knights. And if one day the things will really take all the wrong turns in history, there may be someone we can turn towards too, even if they are just stories. And that's the myth we tell in our little country. Now, a lot of you may probably be like, well, this sounds familiar. Because it does. A myth like this is extremely common among the nations. And, of course, the most famous being the King Arthur of Britain, as always. But there's way more. Let's look at what most of these legends share. Number 1. The sleeping person is either a legendary hero or a ruler from the past. It can both be a historical or a mythological figure. For example, like mythical King Arthur and for example a very real Sebastian of Portugal. Number 2. The time around these tales is wonky. Either you can see the passage of time on the sleeping heroes, you can see their super long beards to show that they have slept for ages and stuff, or an unsuspecting person stumbles into the mountain and suffers the consequences. They can age rapidly or they can find out the year or years have passed in the matters of days. And number 3. The hero will always wait until their respective country needs them the most. There might be something that indicates that the time has come. For example, in the Tales of the Grimm brothers, the sleeping hero, Barbarossa, asks if the birds still circle the mountain top. And because they did, he knows that his time didn't come yet. Even with the story of St Wenceslas, it is said that the tops of the trees will dry and a dry old oak will flourish and grow green on the mountain top. One of the theories I have read is that tales like these have been brought to Europe from Asia, but I couldn't find anything that really confirms this claim, apart from being a theory in the book I was getting the Czech myth from. I'll link the source in the description, but I'm not sure if it's translated to English, but you will see. And even though it is kind of unlikely, as majority of the stories I found featuring these tropes are actually European, we can see some similarities. For example, there is the tale of Urashima Taro, where a fisherman is taken to a dragon palace under the water and then he returns home, but he finds out that at least 100 years have passed and dies after opening a jeweled box, which the princess told him to never do because it contained all the years he didn't gain. So we can check off the wonky time part of the story, but do Asian countries have their sleeping heroes? They do, of course they do. Now, there is an epic of King Gesar, and I'm really sorry, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, if it's Gesar. I'll be saying Gesar, but if it's wrong, I apologize, I'm really sorry. But, King Gesar of Tibet and many cultures across China. The epic itself is super long, it has a ton of different versions, and it's still performed and sung to this day, which is very cool. But what ties it to the sleeping hero trope is the fact that instead of an ordinary death, Gesar departs into a realm from which he may return when his people need him the most. Sounds familiar. And as far as I could find, the tale of Orochima Taro has been around since around 8th century, and the epic of King Gesar dates around 12th century. Looking at that, at least, the Czech myth is in its oldest version from around 15th century, and later, it is possible that they got the inspiration somewhere, but it's also a really easy trope to have in general, to give people hope that either a help will come when they are living through hard times, and if it doesn't, that maybe the times aren't that hard. No? So there's definitely a chance that at least the Kingdom of Bohemia got the story from the East, as my sources theorize, but we will never know, as it's usually with these things. Apart from the sleeping heroes and armies, there's one more variation I wanted to talk about today, and that is the sleeping villain, which is fun. From mythology, I would say the most famous is probably Loki, whose return indicates that the end of the world is coming. Yay! And we can see this in the popular media as well. For example, you have Imhotep from the Mummy movies, who return and everything went bad. Or the elder gods in Lovecraftian books, who want to also return to power. As far as I know, I read only one of the books. But I kind of know the TLDRs, so I think it fits. I shouldn't have talked about Lovecraft, man. But yeah, I never realized just how often this theme is repeated all around us, and I thought it would be really cool to share. So, thank you for watching, and I may see you next time. If you want to subscribe, that would be very nice. And bye-bye. I hope you have a nice day or evening or anything you live in. See you.